Hey everybody, this is Ryan from Justifier Just Do It Coaching, and I have a little share here. I don't even know if you guys end up viewing this, you guys end up viewing it, but it talks about negative energy and how you either can feed off of it or you can stay in your power and ignore it. It's hard to ignore sometimes, but I'll set up the framework here. My son and I have a routine on the weekends or even like holidays where we don't have a lot going on. Uh, that we live close to a train track, and right across the street from our home is a kids park with a lake behind it with a fountain, and it has a like a dock where you could feed the ducks. And my routine, my son loves trains, so we take him over to go see the train. We wait for the train. While we're waiting for the train or after the train, depending on how fast it comes, we tend to grab some of the rocks in his little push car, load up his trunk, and then we come over to the park with the lake, and he likes to throw the rocks into the lake. There's an area where there's a log. He either tries to hit the log or he likes to throw them off the deck. So, where people tend to feed the ducks. And today we get over, same routine, went over, and my son wants to throw his rocks, and I asked him if he wanted to throw it by the log and hit the log, and he said no. So we went to the dock. Up on the dock, there happened to be a gentleman that was fishing. He didn't have. I'm not a fisherman. Some of you out there may know better than I, but he was using just bread, white bread. He was putting in little pellets, putting it on the hook, and I just small talk. I said, "Hey, you ever catch anything out of this lake? It's a small lake." He's like, yeah, today's been a little slow, but I catch things. And I just said to him, hey, my son always grabs rocks from the railroad tracks, and he always throws them. So I hope we don't interrupt you too much. And I said, look, we'll go on the other side. He always does a particular spot, but I said, Christian, come over here and let's throw him over here. Which, you know, 30, 40, 50, probably about 50 feet away from this guy. I don't know anything about fishing. I don't know how much it disturbed the fish. I do know this. As my son was throwing the rocks, he had maybe 20 of them. He's 3 years old, or just about three, taking his time, throwing a rock. Oh, Dad, look at the turtle, look at the duck. I didn't see any fish, which we normally do. I hadn't seen any at all day. So the guy, my son's down to like his last two or three rocks, has the nerve he tossed the bread in the water, like to the ducks. I thought he was just done. I didn't think anything of it. And as he walks away, doesn't look at me, but says loud enough for me to hear, thanks a lot, buddy. I work 6 days a week. It's the only day I get to do something for me. Thanks a lot, buddy. Now, was the first thing I thought. Um, Obviously, I have my 3-year-old son. I can't even respond to that the way I would have liked to. But at the same time, that's the beauty of having children around you. You don't have to respond to ignorance like that. Um, and here's the thought that went through my head. I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong, but we all have these nasty thoughts. I'm thinking you have a miserable fucking life. You are a miserable fucking individual. And if the only thing you get to do on your miserable fucking life and your miserable fucking day is to crumble up some cheap ass Wonder ass bread, put it on a hook, and catch 2-inch fish, then don't be pissed off at me and my son. And why should I ruin his day of his routine that he likes to throw rocks in a public park at a public pond where kids congregate and can tend to throw bread, do things on this particular dock? Why are you in this dock? There's a wooded area right over there, down fucking stream. Do what you got to do in the woods and hope you don't fucking get eaten by a bear. Those things went through my head. But thank God my son was there and I didn't have to do that. Um, Guys, I'm human. I coach, but I'm human. Those are the thoughts that run through my head. Those are the thoughts that I suppress coming out of my mouth only in the last few years. I am a big believer in saying what's on your mind. But when things like that are on your mind, you don't need to express those because why? Two negatives don't make a positive. I'm trying to set an example for my son, and that's probably why many of the things don't come out of my mouth anymore. Um, but Had I said something, it probably would have stewed with me because I would have brought my level of negative energy up higher than his. He would have probably retaliated some way. My son would have been witness to this, but instead I just kept quiet. I kept playing with my son. He kept throwing his rocks. He didn't hear what was going on, nor did he understand. We went up and played in the park for another hour and a half. Had a blast. He made new friends. He actually made 3 new friends, and he's at that age where he's just starting to interact with kids more. So we had a blast. I had actually about 10, 15 minutes later forgotten all about the incident. And that's why I came in here with a big smile on and said, let me share this. So the point of the story, the moral of the story is this. Don't give in to that negative energy because then it just festers and makes it bigger than what it really is. This man, which I'm never going to see the rest of my life probably, unless we cross paths at this park again, um, shouldn't have a huge negative impact. He gave me some negative thoughts off his negative thoughts, but I didn't respond. And my response determines my outcome. My lack of response in this particular incident created the rest of my outcome for the rest of my day, which was enjoying it in the park with my son. Instead of had I elevated my energy, negative energy, he would have elevated his. There would have been some back and forth. I probably wouldn't have enjoyed the time, or I would have just suggested to my son that we're going to leave. And why should that guy's bad day, his bad life, his bad experience at the park of not being able to wait for 3 more rocks to do his fishing, why should that negatively impact my son and my day with my son? And so I'm glad the outcome was what it was. It typically is that way with me, but give you guys something to think about. How does somebody's negative energy turn your positive energy into a negative energy like that? And how are you responding in your life? Because your response determines your outcome. So that's the lesson of the day. Your response determines your outcome. You determine your outcome. Your reaction is what determines what's going to happen in your life. So if you want to have a negative reaction, you're obviously going to have a negative day. If you choose to have no reaction or a positive reaction to that, you know what? You could have a positive and a great day. And I had a great day at the park with my son. So this is Ryan from Justifier. Just Do It Coaching. Everybody have an amazing, amazing day. Again, your reaction determines your outcome. Have a great day.